Hello, and welcome to Membership Quest, where we take your tech dragons and turn them from foes to friends. And today's episode is all about WordPress and using your WordPress for your membership site. I'm Andrew,
I'm Cara. Hello. And
and
MQ, our little not so scary dragon. Yes.
we'll get started here. You might want to refresh your screen there, Kara. It's
Yeah.
stuck a little bit, but there we go. Perfect.
All right.
Nice. Nice to see you.
Kids you too.
Here we get. Let's get started. So again, today's all about WordPress, so it's gonna be fun. Um,
Yeah.
let's pull this up here. Um, why don't you kind of talk about what we're gonna go through today, Kara?
You bet. WordPress. What is WordPress? We're going to talk about three things mainly today. And today's really an intro about WordPress. We're not going to dive in too much about the how. We'll do that later with more depth and walking you through building a site. But really what WordPress is and the functionality, the membership site tools that are going to let you create your membership site and have all kinds of awesome functionality for your members. And then some typical flows that are going to the processes are going to take your members from initial purchase of your membership through becoming a member and getting access to your awesome content. So let's dive in, Andrew. Yay.
Yeah, and just a little bit of background. A little bit of background with us, but Kara and I both do web development as well, and Kara's a content master, and I'm usually the back end of the development, and we both work on the design. And WordPress is a great tool, so we use it all the time, and most all of our web projects really focus on that. And of course, we work with other
Yes.
software as a service sites as well as other big web development platforms, but definitely WordPress is a favorite of ours. So let's get started about why we love it so much. So
Yeah.
yeah, so what is WordPress? Let's
Yeah. And can I interject really quickly here,
yeah,
Andrew? WordPress, I love as a content warrior and word lover. I knew about WordPress back in 2003. It started as a blogging site, just a simple blogging tool for writers to get a page up there to put their daily posts out, blog, share their information, their passion, all that stuff. So it's been around a lot of years in the web world. That's like eons. And it started out as a super simple blogging site. That's all it was. And it has morphed into one of the most powerful website builders out there nowadays. And I read a stat a little bit earlier, and it said that according to a 2021 survey, approximately 32.3% of all websites on the internet are powered by WordPress. So it's a pretty big deal. And we do use it a lot and really like its functionality. So that's where WordPress got started, just as a simple blogging tool.
yeah,
Who knew?
and we're gonna talk about how the way they've structured it and the way that it's built really helps us deliver content. And a blog is really just a container of content. And so we're going to talk about how that relates to delivering content, and also how that delivering content for your members and your membership. So yeah, definitely great intro there, and you hit it on the head, Kara, that it really is been around a while, and it's becoming mature, both from delivering those content pieces, as well as becoming a really full structured server for different types of applications. In our case, we're talking about courses and websites, right? Or sorry, membership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Membership websites. Yeah.
So I guess the first thing is, why do we even choose WordPress? And especially right now, we're interacting with a lot of people starting membership sites up and courses, and there's lots of different tools out there, and software as a service tools And so, you tend to think, why isn't everybody um, using, uh, using WordPress? And I think that's a good question. And I would say that there is a little bit of a ramp up. And but why? Let's go back. Why would we even start with this? And I think the biggest deal is that it's pretty low cost. Um, right? You talked
Yeah.
about it being free, and by free being open source software that's distributed out, and we're able to install that. And a lot of web hosting companies actually have self installers. It does all the installation for you. You just put in a few pieces of information, and you can get a website with WordPress up in minutes. Maybe not developed in minutes, but you can get it up in minutes. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing, right, Kara? Like,
Yeah.
cheap and easy, and lower cost to get started.
Right. Yeah. And that's attractive for a lot of people starting their memberships from the very beginning and small to begin with, that they don't need to spend, 49, 59, whatever dollars a month renting a SaaS website platform. They can just do it, get a free WordPress site, and get their site up and running pretty quickly. So
Right, and we're going to talk about what's part of WordPress, but there are some costs involved, and the more you, the nice thing about WordPress, another reason why you own your own server and your WordPress, is that if you start to invest into the infrastructure, you start to find tools that you can find lifetime deals on, or you can find really good deals throughout the year. And overall, if you like the, I guess the infrastructure of the platform, definitely it starts to get cheaper and cheaper over time, both for those additional plugins and software installs. While the software as a service, while you can also find deals and get in early, ultimately they're always running, and the cost really doesn't go down as much. So and I guess the second thing why you own WordPress is it's fairly straightforward. Once you get to know it, I would say it's an intermediate. However, would you say, Carl, we've worked with some other software as a services, and they say they're simple, but not always.
but
I would
yes.
say there's almost as much ramp up or more in some circumstances. So
Yes, yes, and just quick point about some others. They're they might be built for beginners, but their functionality is really limited. So you get to a certain place and you're like, "Ooh, I want to do something else," and you can't because it just doesn't have the functionality or the components or the elements to add in. So that's another thing to think about. And WordPress is super flexible, and I'm going to say you can that as far as you want to take your WordPress site, you can take it. I mean, you can and may have it do amazing things
yeah.
and not be limited by that structure at the beginning.
Right, and of course, the more you get more complex, the more it gets. There could be some additional costs, but
Right.
it is more flexible, and that's the other thing. So,
Yeah.
those are great points, Kara. And so, we're just going to really just hit it at eye level. We're not going to go really deep into this, but what are the WordPress components? And when you look at a WordPress server, we talk about, really what are the main things of a server. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the theme. So the theme really is, I guess it's like a bundled look and feel of your site. It has some functionality in there, and some themes are really heavy and they have a lot of software built into them, and some are very light and really look towards your servers, plugins, and extra software to run the site. So, and there's ones right in between. So, a few examples we use on some of our sites. We have we use Elementor for our page builder, and we're not going to go much into how we build the pages, but some of our sites, how we have a Elementor's theme is called Hello theme, and in the past we've used some sites on that where it's very, very, watered down and not much to it at all, and then we do all the work in the back end. And then we're starting to integrate into more themes that have a little bit more power, and definitely you don't want it too heavy, but just like anything, the porridge, right? Just right.
That's right. Just right.
Right.
That's right.
So the theme's really important, how you pick a theme, and really some really good themes out there right now. We're using one called Cadence. It's really nice. I really like it because there's some hooks and code in there that make things super simple to add some really nice features to your site, but not so heavy that it dominates the site. So plugins, these are your software components, and we'll talk about some of those, the membership focus ones here in a little bit. But plugins really are your do everything on the site. Like they really run a lot of the extra features of your site, from sales to additional page builder features, widgets, as well as safety, security, logins, lots of different things. So these also, the good thing about these is they're amazing, and the bad thing is that the more plugins you have, those the more heavy and over bloated your site can become. So you really need to really only use the ones that you really need to. And even when you're setting up your plugins, a lot of times you can set them up to not load everything that the features that the plugin has. So that can really reduce the amount of strain on your server and other things. So
and do a lot of plugins affect load time too, Andrew? And that
they
kind of
can,
thing?
right? Yes. And there's also plugins that help load time, like WP Rocket, where it caches your site and it does some really amazing stuff to make your site faster as well. So it can do both, right? And again, it's all about having not only the ones you need, and also optimizing them when you do install them. That's a great question. That's a great question. Pages and landing pages. This is a good. You want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah.
And this is the main page. Your main site stuff. And while you're talking a little bit about that, I'll get the page up real quick.
Yeah,
and
for
give
sure.
an example.
Yeah, pages would be like your membership site would have its home page. So that would be a page, and it would have the biggest difference I like to think of between a web page and a landing page is a web page is going to have all your navigation, your footer information, all that stuff. So people, your users, members can find other things on your site. But a landing page, often used with a funnel, is a really like a single page website. But the beauty of it, it usually doesn't have navigation, it doesn't have footer, and it's like a targeted message with just one message, one place to go, which is probably a call to action button like learn more, subscribe, download a really valuable document, that kind of thing. But it gives people one thing to think about, one action to take, and it really helps drive to that action that that they'll benefit from.
Yeah, so here's an
one.
example of a landing page. And in regards to memberships, this is our one of the fitness membership sites we work with. And
Yes.
this is a landing page. And I'm logged in, so you see the header, but there's no header up at the top here. And really it's all about, when does it start? What are you going to get out of it? The big sign up button
benefits.
Car's talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe a video to tell you a little bit more about what's going on, your transformational journey, and of course how to get signed up and logged in. And because Cara said this is a landing page, this then would take you to the next stage of that funnel, right?
Right. Which would be a thank you page, and then access to this is a workout, a quick 5-day workout. Yeah, but it's just really, like, you can see, super streamlined, just the benefits and how to take action with that. Because I'm excited, I want to do this. Where's the button?
Yeah. And so definitely there. And so the next one we're going to talk about is posts. And Kara brought up earlier that this used to be a blogging site. And so a lot of times when you're doing your blog, you do your blog with posts, not pages.
Exactly.
And posts are really containers of information, mostly text, or nowadays really a post and a page are almost the exact same thing. I would say that posts, you have the added ability and power of a taxonomy and adding the ability to put categories and tags on them. And that's in the old days. I remember the main tag used to be the date, right? And I remember our old blogs would have lists of months, and you could click on the month, and then it would basically take you down to your page.
Yeah.
And then the second taxonomy might be a topic or a focus point,
a category or something.
Yeah, and so that's really a big, powerful thing, and that's really a useful thing for a site that's especially for membership sites. So maybe you have a success map of a transformational journey, and you have topics that are based off of specific needs and issues that you're working on with your members. And so you could create blog posts and then have them categorized by those stages of their transformational journey, and then they could be listed out on listing pages or a filter or things like that. So definitely there. And then the cool thing about WordPress, and the one thing that we're all continuing to learn, is that most of the plugins, everything's built around post types and posts. And what plugins do is they create these fancy things called custom post types. A lot of times, I remember in the past, you might download a plugin that builds events on your site, right, Cara? And list events, but really it's creating a custom post type. If you actually look at WooCommerce and sales, that's really products and things are really specialized custom post types. So a custom post type is really just the post, which is an object. It contains data, usually links, text, and media. But also custom post types can start to really take on a new life for your site and add some really dynamic capabilities. And if you look at even fancier SaaS or fancier software as a service platforms, really they're doing the same stuff, and they're just doing them in different ways. But ultimately, everything on the web and most of the things are doing similar actions. So Car had a great idea, so we're going to bring up some examples of custom post types. And
we're going to do some show and tell a little bit.
Yeah. So here's a site that we built for a project, and this one is called Study California. And go ahead.
Oh, just one of the beautiful things, we're going to show you some custom post types that Andrew designed in the back end here. And the beautiful thing for a user and for me as a content lover is that it's the content's in the back end that's displaying it in a certain way on the front end. So in the old days, before custom post type, you would statically code or put in blocks of text, like for California University, you put in the logo image, you'd put in the gold California Lutheran, you'd put in the header, you'd put in the blurb beneath that. That would all be static in a thing, in a page, text block or something in a page. Nowadays, with custom post type, the back end is the content's being fed by a database essentially, or a spreadsheet. So you put it in there, it's going to feed in a certain way with a look and feel that's been assigned to it. And the beautiful thing about this is our partners with this project, the Study California team, they have access to that spreadsheet. They can make simple changes on the back end. They don't have to get a developer involved. They don't have to recode the page, all that stuff. It's super simple, so elegant.
Yeah, and really, and actually, it looks just like the database Cara is talking about is basically a custom post type we created, and it's really an object where you open it up and it just lists 5 fields, and maybe you can add some pictures, right? But like Kara said, the dynamic part is that you really just need to give access to, we say the double quote spreadsheet, but basically it's just a very simple form that they get to add some data in, and then dynamically they add the data, and then when we go through and then you click on the component of this, then it loads and it dynamically builds a site up based off of the data that you enter in there. And so you don't have to build, if you have 100 colleges or you have 100 posts, you don't have to build 100 sites. You just have 100 forms that you add in that are very simple, right? And then it builds these beautiful pages back for. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot of work. It's a lot of work to set up potentially, but you know, it's really the power of custom post types. And so you might be asking, well, what does that have to do with the membership?
Membership, yeah, a lot, actually.
We actually have another example. So we have another example of, we have some challenges built into our platform. And so this is a 30-day program, for example, and then we actually built in week 1 through 4, and then we have special ways to display the custom post types, but each post type is basically a custom post type of a video. So if you're displaying videos of teaching things or working out or how to paint or
how to cook, anything your membership content could think of, then
they would click on these, and then they can you know, do a workout, or they can you know, see. And then again, the custom post type displays dynamically, so you don't have to build all these pages. You just have to build a post type that lists these out. So so much power, Kara, and
so much.
This is one of our favorite things going forward. Is it's just very powerful, but ultimately, you know, that's why WordPress is so dynamic, and you then can, as a designer and a copywriter and an experienced crafter, right? You all out there can then build memberships that follow a good framework to deliver this content to people.
Yes, exactly. Right? Exactly.
Let me pull up this here real quick. All right, so let's see. You have anything else to add to that, Kara? And while I'm pulling this up.
No, just they're a pretty remarkable thing. They really are. They are. Yeah, and they have so much applicability to a membership site. You know, just all the ways your content could be parsed and presented.
And if you really think about, like Kara started out earlier, it's a blog, right? And then a blog is really an object that you can point to. It has a taxonomy or a category, and then you have the ability to display data in there, which are text, media, and the more dynamic you can get your plugins and things. And we'll talk about that for memberships here. It really helps. So the last component, and we would say, is WooCommerce, which is a super powerful, free. When I say free, I'm double quoting that, free component or plugin that you know, runs millions and millions of stores among the world. And the cool thing about it is it's very powerful to work with memberships as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but that's really what WordPress, right, Kara? Simple.
Yeah, pretty simple. It is. It is.
All right. So this is going to go on to our stages and our channels. And if you look at here, our website, this is this little thing here where this blue arrow is, right, Kara?
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that other than social media, you could have every single one of these channels built into your WordPress site.
Yes, it can have your sales, your community portal, your content hub. It can haul all those things into your website with a WordPress site.
Right. And, other than social media, where you still want to have a place to find where people are hanging out and work with them to pull them and give them value based off of what you teach. But realistically, it's a pretty cool way to leverage all these different things. And as well as it works well with other software as a services. I know, a lot of people are excited about a thing called Searchy right now, and they're talking about how they have a really nice way to build a content hub, and we're going to be playing with that here soon as well on some future episodes. But how to then maybe you can also then embed those really dynamic and powerful widgets inside of your WordPress site and a membership site. So maybe you wanted to have your content organized and delivered through a tool off of a software as a service, but again, really embedding codes and hooking them together through integrations is a good way to do that as well. So there's no one answer to give you everything.
That's right. Many ways, many ways through the forest. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So membership site, let's get going on this one. So we'll kind of push forward a little bit, but membership site tools, this is where it's all about. So your first is our membership plugin. And this is the true value of your. This is the membership plugins. Basically, assign users to membership levels. It has integrations to your sales system as well as to your email system, so that you can have a dynamic sync to your active members list. And the other thing that it does is it really protects your content. And we talked earlier, Kara was mentioning blogs and content and custom post types and whatever we do, pages. We can protect all that with a membership plugin. And then you can protect certain pages or groups of pages by membership levels. So I know Kara and I are always on our membership site and always kind of working to move content around and adjust levels.
Right.
But
Right.
do you have anything else to add on membership?
Nope, that's good.
Okay. And then the next one is our sales plugin. And this is really WooCommerce for WordPress. And we talked this last week in I believe it was last week, right?
It was last week. Yes.
Subscriptions and getting paid online, right?
Yes.
And so we talked about subscriptions, Woo subscriptions, which is an additional component, or you can hook directly into your payer. So there's lots of different ways to do that. Be sure to check out that one as well, because that has a lot of information and we dug really deep into that. But we're going to be doing even more with that here soon. But your plugin in your funnel is there. So also your funnel, we talk about WooCommerce is really a shopping cart, and you also might want to have it more of a funnel experience that Kara mentioned earlier, where you may have specific pages that lead people to your offers, and instead of a shopping cart, it might be more of a landing page, which a hook and an element that gives them more information about the product before you do that. So you can customize that. We use something called cart flows that hooks into WooCommerce as well. So that's a nice additional component. Portal pages. These are just specific pages that protect your content and are protected on the back end, but also give guiding content to your memberships during the month or during your specific contests or whatever. It's like we showed our 30-day apps or things like that. And then the content hub is really where it's all about, and delivering that content. And we talked about custom post types, course plugins, as well as and course plugins, again, are just a group of custom post types that come in the plugin form. And these are pretty awesome and powerful. You can also link these directly into your membership plugins a lot of the time. So you can say, hey, everybody in this membership level has access to these courses, and maybe some other courses are premium that maybe are paid per per product. And then we talked about maybe there's also ways to hook in external software as a service, content hubs or content pieces. And then also we talked about in the content module or the content video a while back about, where do you host all that data and videos and audio and all that stuff. So that's a whole other topic, but that's really your membership site tools. A little bit of everything right there, Cara.
Yep. Yeah, and that all just nestles really nicely in your WordPress site. So it is a nice one-stop place for your members to go.
Yeah. All right. We always have our little intermission here.
Get some popcorn. Get some popcorn.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to.
Well, I know now not to give away the name of the movie.
We can give away. I was
one of my favorite movies. I don't know when this is a long time ago, but I remember this because I'm also a horse person, so I love this movie. So my little trivia is, what kind of horse is this? It's a big Warhorse. They're still around, and it begins with an F. This is actually a Frisian horse, and they're not actually huge. They're not like 18 Hands Hall. They're not like draft horse size, but they're very big and Warhorse, and I've known a few. I've never ridden one, but I've had friends that have had them. They're magnificent. Very magnificent. So
yeah, and Cara's a super horse person, and and this is a fun movie. I remember, I think this was like 1985, something like that.
Yeah, a long time ago, yes.
But definitely a fun one. And Matthew Broderick is in that.
Yes, he is.
I think we probably said it already on accident.
We didn't.
If you know what the movie is, type it in here.
Type it in, yeah.
But definitely it was a fun movie. It's kind of a sit back and relax type thing. But
yeah, it's beautiful.
That's probably one of the ones we're gonna need to see sometime soon. So
again, yeah.
All right. So now it's all about the flow. Like, it's all about what do you do? What are some common? We're always going to try to bring these in. And so if there's also additional ways that you'd like to see or things that you're trying to do on your site, make sure to give us in the comments what types of things that you like to do that we didn't mention or that you're looking to do in WordPress.
So, questions or
And it's all about doing stuff on your site, right, Cara? Like it's
yes.
The whole point is us to deliver content and build engagement and have people come and enjoy content and interacting. So, I think of these as recipes, but maybe, ultimately this is truly where your imagination can take you. So, right now we're just kind of talking about basic ones, but the first one is sales. I call this the big woo, but that's from a movie, by the way. But
I didn't know that. I thought it was a reference to WooCommerce, which
it is a reference to WooCommerce, but the big woo is also in a movie. But this is just your basic sales flow, like a landing page Cara brought up earlier, to a subscription, to buying a subscription for your membership or a product for your course, to take you to a thank you page if you can. And those thank you pages really about, we talk a little bit, right, Cara, about, our transitions and onboarding, right? And how do you make that wow factor, right? And when you're onboarding your members and make it easy for them to log in, easy for them to change their password.
Right.
Do they get their information for their sales that they bought? Do you tell them what the next steps, make people simple?
Right. Yeah, exactly, Andrew. And using every touch point as an opportunity to continue building that trust and providing value and all of that. And yes, and the onboarding and the sales process is a great first start. They're excited to buy your product, your membership. They get a welcome email, they get more information, how to use the system, and it just sets everything up for this really nice experience that lasts a long time.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is if you automate all this stuff, a lot of times that the more work you put up front or later on, like I said, sometimes don't make it so, I never This is a joke, by the way, but
It
I
is a
never try to
joke.
make everything perfect and
No,
build this
never.
amazing system right up front. Sometimes you run out of time and energy, but really just getting it going. But as you go
Yeah, get
forward,
it
you
going.
can add to it, and everything you add to it, new email that helps
Mm-hmm.
people clarify 35 questions that you received of the same problem over and over. Like,
Right.
this is really the truly where you can tweak this and make it better and better and better. And so every year and every cycle of your membership, you
Mm-hmm.
really can make it
Yeah.
um, a special
Yes.
time and make it easy for them to do what they want to do, which is consume your content and talk
Mm-hmm.
and learn. So,
Exactly.
um, and we'll talk a little bit more about that next step, right? And Kara is always generating new emails or clarifying new emails and doing some great stuff. But those welcome automated series is really important, right, Kara?
Mm-hmm. Very important. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so here we talk about where the members added. So again, when you buy a product, potentially, let's say you do WooCommerce, and then the WooCommerce has a successful transaction, then you have it hooked in an integration to your. We use a membership software called Wishlist Member a lot of times. The Wishlist Member then has an integration with the product, so that when it says you bought this product, then you get access
Mm-hmm.
to a membership level. Then that membership level has an integration to your email list, and so then it adds you to an active email list for that membership level. And then once they get added to that, the automation would already kick off, and then they might get their welcome emails, and there
Mm-hmm.
might be also a sequence of other emails based off of how you set that up. So um, it seems complex, but the cool thing about all of this, and that's why we're continuing to, and this is what makes us so passionate about what we do, is
Yeah.
um, continuing to work all of us together and learn more and
Right.
like I said, turn those tech dragons into from foes to friends. And we
To
talked about
friends. Yeah.
it's really not as bad as you think, but it's so many things, I would say, that it can get overwhelming. So that's why we show you our framework a lot, and it's really for us to continue
Mm-hmm.
to build a dialogue and a way for us to figure out how we take a lot of intermediate things and then understand how they work together and understand how they help you get to where you need to go and help you meet your membership and your course followers needs, right, Cara? That, which is what
Mm-hmm.
it's all about.
Yep. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
And then the login when they get their first one, and on our membership software, you can say when people log in every time, and there's a certain level, you always take them to a certain page, right? And
Uh-huh. Yeah.
um,
Right.
we're always working on guiding content, um, and that guiding content is on that portal page. Is tell them what they're doing that month and what they're going to do next, and what's some easy wins,
Mm-hmm.
and how do they mark their wins off, and maybe it's a
Right.
downloadable guide that has some checklists and things
Yes.
like that. There's lots of different ways to do it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And keeping them engaged in the whole process.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the three basic flows of a WordPress server.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more than that, and of course, every time they log in and consume their content, and that might be unique to what you're doing. So definitely think about that, and um,
Mm-hmm.
kind of why don't you give us a recap here, real quick?
Yeah, yeah. Today we introduced WordPress a little bit at the top level. Talked about what is WordPress. Remember, it started as a blogging site, super simple, back in 2003, in the dark ages of the internet. and the beauty and the power of it is really having your own server and you having the power to do the whole site yourself and not being reliant on a web developer or some other tech team to do your site because you have the power and the capability to do this. We also talked about the membership site tools, what you need to run your membership, membership software, what's a plugin, subscription software, that kind of thing. And then typical WordPress flows. And the last ones we just talked about was a member signs up, they get access, and then they begin delving into the content in the content hub. So really, there's a lot of pieces, but in the big scheme, it's simple, and there's very much a path through it, and we're here to help with that. So we're looking forward to more conversations.
Yeah, and as we get more into WordPress, I always, tend to think, what is your, what do you see the future as we get more into how we're interacting with, our membership sites, and we're learning from your membership sites, you out there in the world,
Yes, for sure.
and also seeing the struggles and also seeing some of the successes people are making. What do you feel about is the future of that WordPress, or even the full content and delivery mechanism throughout the whole time? Any thoughts on this whole thing? This is a big ass question, by the way.
It's a big question. It's a big question. But yeah, I think you hit it, Andrew. It's taking that long-term vision and not overthinking, but not overthinking it. So just getting in there, starting out, making it simple, and just knowing that a WordPress site has a lot of flexibility and capability to, as you grow down the road, it's going to be able to grow with you. And that's something really excited about.
Yeah, and I would say for my that's a good thought, Cara. And I would say for my thought is that, every time I think about it, I really get excited that, software is changing and evolving all the time.
All the time.
In theory, it's getting easier, and as it gets easier, we as long as we understand the framework and how it works together, it's just going to be easier for all of us to use software that's going to be more based off of things that you own. We call it. You don't really own everything, but if you're still renting the hosting and all that. But if out of anything, you really own this. And for anybody who does websites, I always, and for clients as well, as we always back up their website in a clean state and shelve it away even when you're using it, so that if you can always restore it, or if you ever need it to do other things with it, or migrate it and do some changes on it and do it offline and can bring it back on. But ultimately, you this is a place that you are not renting. It's more of like you're owning the house, and so this is your place to build the way you want. And long term, it's a lot cheaper. And it's a little bit more work in the beginning, but in the end, if you add up all the software on WordPress side and you add up all the software on a software as a service side, a lot of times, I am sometimes shocked by looking at the prices on side by side. That might be a fun kind of graph we build someday, but yeah, of maybe. We're going to be talking long term about we call this three basic blueprints, right? And this is one general blueprint. I would call this kind of the middle ground. And then there's the software as a service, or maybe linked to different software as a services that links to, there's pretty complex and really cool components all along the way. But if you add up, you have 5 software as a services that all hook together. You could be paying, $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 a year, depending on what you're doing. Now, if you're making a lot of money and it's simple and it's what you need, that's really for you to determine. But ultimately, the cost needs to be filtered in there. I definitely think WordPress is a good happy medium in there, and working with software that we know that's going to work with what would you call it, the determination of what it is, like what it does, what you want it to do, and deliver on it. And so that's pretty much it. So kind of the end is our starting that journey today and get it going. And that's why we got our MQ. And I was just looking at things and I just thought, these dogs are starting their journey, and I don't know, I was just on Giphy and I saw this and I'm like,
And why not put an awesome video of wiener hot dogs and running in a herd? Why not? I love that.
that's
I
right.
love that because we're all we're all on a journey and having fun along the way. So yes.
Yeah.
So yes.
So you too, you as well. Start your journey, and we want to be part of that journey as well. And
We're here to help.
we're here to help and be there with you as well as we learn from you. So be sure in the comments to let us know, if you use in WordPress, or if you tried it in the past and what problems you've had or what successes
Yes.
you've had. We'd love to hear. And then we'll also say, I'll put it up here, but to join our community. And
Absolutely.
it's all
We'd love to have
about,
you there.
yeah, it's all about us helping each other and growing, and asking the questions and challenges you're having, also the wins. So love you to be part of that community. And we will be here again. And if there's other topics that you'd like to see and learn about, let us know. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next time. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good Quester day.